But let's get Marc Jackson's thoughts on this NBC pre- and post-game. And, Mark, we saw a team last night come out, and, you're at home. They're making shots, and you make 50% of your shots. It's going to be tough to lose a game like that. But what have you seen from this team over about the last 2 weeks where they were on the road and really struggling? There was a lot of questions about leadership and accountability and all that stuff. I mean, is that just the ups and downs of an 82-game season, or is there something more with this team over these last 2 weeks that you kind of raise your eyebrow at?
Well, first of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, pal.
For me, when I'm looking at it, it's a couple of players, when you go through a losing streak, you're not going to please everyone. So some players may speak up here and there. But when you had Joel, Tobias, Josh Richardson, when you had that many people saying something in the media, that raised my eyebrow because that's a little too much, especially coming from them veteran players. I didn't expect that. But, of course, winning creates everything. And like I said, winning's like your mom's home-cooked cooking. It'll make you feel better.
Well, last night they got better because they made a lot of threes. But what was different about them last night? Was there something different in the offense last night that was noticeable that allowed them, to look like they were having fun again?
To me, I've seen a willingness to hunt the three. Coach Brett Brown used that example. But I've seen them coming out, moving the ball faster. The ball didn't stick in one's hands. They got from one side of the floor quicker. And that's what I've seen. So I've seen an adjustment in the offense to be faster, to create opportunities, and a hunt shot. That's the biggest difference I've seen last night.
Talking with Marc Jackson here. So let's talk about this a little bit. He talked about calling more plays and that, maybe that's something they need to do. He's also kind of said, hey, I might have to change some of the things I'm doing, meaning calling plays more than he likes to do and using guys in different situations. Like a guy like Horford, the way they've used him over the first 30-plus games. The whole calling plays, do you as a former player, is that something you like when the coach has so much control of a game, or do you like the ability to have a little bit more free flow, similar to what Brett seemingly likes to do?
Well, it can vary. When you got a lot of veterans, if you got a stagnant offense, you might want to run a lot of plays. But if you got the first thing you look for is to get a fast break. If you don't get a fast break, then maybe get into a set. But when the course of the game is going on, it's only 24 seconds. There's only but so many plays you can call. Where Ben Simmons, if he gets a rebound, off to the races. So with that being said, with this offense, if Ben doesn't have nothing, then I can see him, okay, let's get some sets. Let's get somebody touches. But I like it free-flowing. One thing, if you take note the last two games, versus Oklahoma City and Houston, you notice Ben was in a lot of picking and diving, and he wasn't the one handling the ball. It was normally someone else, or him posting up and then running offense out of that. I like that change in the offense.
Well, when you look at this offense, Mark, compared to the one a couple of years ago that had Redick and Rocco and Dario, it seemed like that was a much more free-flowing offense with players who like to play that style. And I look at this team, and it may be more talented man-to-man, but offensively, do you believe that this team can be a free-flowing offense? Do they just need more time with each other, or are they just not meant to play that style of a game compared to the offense 2 years ago?
Great question. So the biggest difference I've seen is when the Six had JJ, they hunted for JJ a lot. Mm-hmm. They ran a lot of sets to try to find JJ. And I thought it took away from the flow of the game to me. Now you got this much talent, and you have a few different decision-makers. Ben Simmons, Al Horford, don't forget he is, Josh Richardson.
I think we might have just lost Mark. We'll have to bring him back in because he was getting into some good stuff.
Yeah. And
something we had just talked about, all the different hands off at the top of the key that they ran for JJ, talking about hunting threes. They were hunting opportunities for Reddick, a guy
Right.
they just simply don't have on this roster.
Interestingly,
right
he
now.
felt like 2 years ago it may have looked more free-flowing, but he felt that the handoffs to JJ also disrupted that flow.
It was a crutch for sure, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what was also a way, I think, a lot of people have kind of, Brett likes to have the most passes in the offense, and it's just a way to get another pass to calculate into it. So go ahead, Mark. You got cut off right around JJ.
So I thought people were hunting JJ. I thought
Yeah, we're going to try to call him back and see if we can reset him back on get a good line there.
Yeah, it's interesting when he talks about J.J. Redick because I've talked a lot this season about the team's indecisiveness, and J.J. Redick is not indecisive. He
not
is
at all.
a shooter. If anything, he shoots too much, right, because he's an attacker. So he fit in that open philosophy because those handoffs, J.J. was either going to shoot, attack, or he was going to dump it back to Embiid on the pop or the roll or kick it to the corner. So, I mean, Redick was a massive part of this offense. I think too big of a role in this offense in the past.
But they also deemed then his offense, his defense, I should say, was not worth what he was giving them on offense.
Correct.
Right. So let's bring Marc Jackson back in NBC pre and post game regarding this, the Redick and his role and all the stuff that you guys were just talking about.
so. When you got this many decision makers in Josh, Al Horford, and Ben, I think it's important to keep note. A lot of guys can do things, so you don't necessarily need to run offense. Just free flowing, let the decision makers do what they do, and just go to the hot hand.
Do you feel like that's something? Oh, so you like this offense's capability of doing that? Do you feel that because people are new to each other still? It's just not even a half a year that it's just kind of taken a while for guys to understand what they should and shouldn't be doing without stepping on toes and how to make that free flow happen.
Exactly, because you look at it, they haven't had much time together. They're in 40 games, but think about it. They have not had, Joel sit, Al Horford sit, somebody else gets bumped up. They don't have that much time to get it started. So I don't know what's going to take, but I know one thing: they have to play together consistently to gel.
Mark, do you think that this roster is built? And I'm not trying to get too overreactionary right now. As Jeff said, it is early in the season and there's plenty of figuring out to do. But do you think this is built properly to space the floor how we continue to hear this? I mean, yes, taking the ball out of Ben Simmons' hands, that's a good short-term solution. But do we really want to continue to take the ball out of the all-star point guard's hands? And then where does he fit? Is he always just going to be a screener? And you want to space the floor, but are they really going to be able to space the floor properly with Al Horford, Richardson, Tobias Harris, and Ben Simmons? I mean, in the playoffs, you know how it gets in those half-court sets late in games.
Well, I look at it this way. You have to give up something to get something. So, yes, I know everybody wants that knockdown, lethal shooter, J.J. Redick. But respectfully, he hurts you on the other end. That's just the facts of the matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If I can have somebody who might not shoot 60% from three, that might shoot 38, and if I have multiple guys like that, I think I'll take my chance with that if they can defend on the other end. So I'll take my chance with that. So can they sustain it? I think they can. Now, with that being said, Al Horford is not a corner three-point shooter, but he is a shooter from the top of the key. You just might got to find a way to put him there. And Josh Richardson is an average three-point shooter. I'll take that as well.
Do you
Real
think?
quick on that, though,
Yeah.
Sixers, people don't realize this, they're 10th in the league in three-point percentage. They're only 3% away from being the number one three-point percentage team in the league. So a lot of teams are going through a lot of this. Guys, they just don't have that big knockdown shooter. We just got spoiled by having one of the very few knockdown shooters.
Exactly. And spoiled indeed, because JJ is one of the best and maybe the best to ever do it.
But on the flip side of that, too, Mark,
you know what? I'll take that off a little bit. If I have a guy that can hit, just be average, but also going to be a great lockdown defender. And if I got multiple guys on the like that, I'll take my chance of winning like that any day.
Well, and we were just talking about this because Ryan and he sent me about Joe Harris, and I said, I like Joe Harris, but guys like that in the playoffs get taken away. So, yes,
Exactly.
they're great during the regular season, but in the playoffs, the J.J. Redicks aren't the same. He's not the same guy in the playoffs. Joe Harris is definitely not the same guy in the playoffs. When you're a one-trick pony in the playoffs, you get exposed as a one-trick pony.
But the spacing is
Yes,
crucial.
you do. Look at the Sixers did when they played the Nets. Joe Harris had his worst stretch of games all season versus the Sixers. Because, you could take – if you only could do one thing, great. That's great. But if we can take that one thing away, what else can you give us? And that's all due respect. Harris is a great player. JJ is a great player. But I'll take my chance with Matisse Thybulle shooting 40% from three and being locked down the field on the other end.
So where are you at personally, Mark, with this team right now? I mean, you look at the overall record. It's a good record. I don't think any of us are sitting here saying the Sixers are a bad team or unfulfilling. But at the same point, with all the talent that they had, I think people kind of expected them to have a record closer to what the Bucks have. Maybe not that good, but pretty good, as opposed to what they have now and the losing streak that they were just on.
That's the mentality that everyone should have, because that's what this roster was made up to have. We are from Philadelphia. We are Philadelphia people. We're not going to take mediocrity lightly. This record is good, but it's not what it should be. That's the fact. This roster is made to win games, not necessarily only for the playoffs. And I know Brett Brown said they're built for the playoffs. No, they're built to win games. Some of them games they won was because of their doing, and I think they can overcome that the second half of the season, and I'm looking forward to that.
Do you think there's total buy-in between the players and the coach?
Oh, you might get me in trouble. Don't do that. Do I think it's total buy-in? I think it's still questions in the locker room. And until them questions get answered, I don't think it's going to be total buy-in. When people question it, Al Horford saying, I don't like them using offensively. Josh Richardson saying, some people scared to step on toes. Joel saying, they need to shoot the ball. That doesn't tell me that's total buy-in. They tell me they still need more time together.
Mark, is it concerning to you that there's been a big inconsistency factor with Ben and Joel Embiid coexisting together?
Yeah. It's not a big concern, but it is a concern.
How do they change
whatever
that?
You've been doing, whatever you're doing in the offensive scheme is not necessarily working. Yes, you're winning, but it's not necessarily working. That means we got to find a better solution to make them both coexist. And I think to the point that when Joel has said he needs to shoot, I think that's what you need. That should raise your eyebrow. Like, okay, we got to hurry up and make these guys coexist faster.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you, Mark, do you think there's a coach, any coach, that would walk in here and say, Ben Simmons, if you don't shoot, you're sitting, or if you guys don't, they're sitting, or is that just not the way the league is anymore? Because people feel like, I feel like people feel like, hey, Brett doesn't hold him accountable, he should sit him, or he should force him, and that there's a coach out there that's going to come in here and demand that you do this or you're going to sit. Is that possible in today's game?
You know what? That's the question. That's the question I keep asking myself. Like, if I was the head coach, could I tell Ben, hey, Ben, man, I need you to shoot that jumper, man. I don't care if you miss 50, I'm just shoot it. A.K.A. like Giannis is doing. And if he refuses to shoot it, I'm like, all right, Ben, you're not going to do it. I need to sit you. So now am I going to sit one of the highest paid players on my team, A.K.A. All-Star, A.K.A. franchise player? Am I going to sit him and him take it for real? And I'm like, man, you just sit me for a few couple of seconds. He's going to put me right back in. And then it's that a mind game that I'm willing to play with my All-Star.
Well,
I don't know.
It's always interesting, and this team will always remain interesting. I'll tell you this. I don't know what your opinion is, Mark, but I do not think they should keep trading and changing this roster. They got to stick with this group of guys and let it play out. Even if they come up short this year, keep this group of guys together for at least 2 years so that they can get some sort of symmetry going.
That is a chemistry. That is a great point. You need chemistry. The only way to get chemistry is to have guys play together. It's a fact. But because we want it so quickly, we want to answer our questions answered so right now. We're like, just trade somebody and let's see. But then you got to start all over with chemistry. You do. But with that being said, some of those losses to some of these teams shouldn't have been done with this roster.
Yeah.
And I think they need to look at themselves in the mirror and say, we can correct this with ourselves. We don't need to bring somebody different in.
Marc Jackson, NBC pre- and post-game live, Sixers Celtics on Thursday night. A proud Temple grad, and of course, he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. I know you have a birthday coming up here soon, Mark, so I wish you an early happy birthday.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
25th, right?
25th? Marc Jackson, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline.